welcome back to Wild Talk. It's crazy to believe that we are kicking off season 5. We're not just going to jump right into a guest. We kind of sat back, we talked about it. We figured some of the best ways to kick this one off is to revisit some of the best times we had throughout season 4. Last year, we had a wide range of voices on the show. We had everybody from conservation leaders, business owner, viral personalities, survivors, and families that truly lived the outdoor field-to-table experience. Some conversations made us laugh, some made us emotional, uncomfortable, and some have stuck with us long after the cameras have shut off. And that's why we are rolling with this style of episode. Tonight is all about revisiting those moments from season 4. Welcome to Wild Talk, the untamed voice of Canada's outdoors, where raw stories, real people, and wild places collide. This episode of Wild Talk is one for the books. Let's talk wild. Wild Talk, powered by Better Call Paul, is brought to you by Better Hunting, Better Stories, Better Call Paul. Umarex, Hunt with Air. Bronc Beer, Great Buckin' Beer. We're going to kick this episode off with one that was deeply personal to me. No doubt it is the one where I got to take my family to South Africa. This was a bucket list trip for me for over 25 years. As far back as I can remember when I started hunting, I always wanted to go visit the Dark Continent. And this time, for my first time, I got to bring my wife and our 13-year-old daughter, Kaylee, with me. This was our first safari experience, and what a rush. We came back and sat down in the studio almost immediately with the rock star Kate Rundle to talk about it. We were still tired, still smiling, and honestly, we were still processing. This wasn't just another adventure. It was a bucket list moment, as I said, and it changed our entire outlook on wildlife, on conservation, on hunting, and how we see the world as a whole. Here's a clip from that conversation.
Welcome back for your hunt in Africa. I'm sure it was an absolutely amazing experience, so let's talk about it. Steve, I know that you've hunted a lot in your time in a lot of different places. What put Africa on your hunting bucket list?
Oh man, goes back probably 25 years ago or so when I first got my hunting license. I just kind of thumbing through some magazines and saying, you know what, that gemsbuck looks kind of cool. I wonder where I can get one of those. And long story short, that ended up on a bucket list for me as one of the first couple animals I ever wanted. And here we are 20 some odd years later talking about it.
Kaylee, what was the first trophy for you? Your first big game down? What'd you get?
In Africa, it was a impala. So we were just walking through the bush. We had seen few impalas running along the tree lines. So we got out and stalked them and waited for them to stop, kind of, because they're always just moving. So got out, stalked up, waited a couple minutes, found them, waited some more, and then I got positioned on the sticks, looked through the scope, and pulled the trigger, and I couldn't believe that I had gotten an impala in Africa. Just insane.
No, the best part was I was just sitting back at the truck, and the outfitter and the tracker, Kaylee and my wife, went for the walk, and 10, 15, 20 minutes later, whatever it was, I'm just kind of enjoying the scenery. I hear bang, and I'm like, oh, something's down. 10 minutes later, the tracker comes back walking towards us, and he's kind of laughing, and he goes, your daughter just shot a bigger impala than you did. Gave me the high five, and I'm like, awesome. So,
Love to hear it.
She got
Good
the big
job.
impala of the trip. That trip wasn't really about the animals. It was about the time spent together as a family. The animals were a bonus. The scenery was incredible, but the memories, they're going to last us a lifetime. So the world-class hunts, they're incredible, but nothing beats watching your kid grow in real time and your loved ones taking their first big game ever. My wife got a chance and was able to put down her first big game animal ever over there. It was a beautiful impala. We did that as a family. That true field to table connection. We got to experience it. We got to live it, and we got to see how conservation in action works on the other side of the world. Africa gave us something way more valuable than anything we brought home physically. It gave us memories. I'm grateful for every single day that we got to experience over there. When we come back, viral content creator with millions of followers and the moment hunting collided with the internet. Welcome back to Wild Talk. This highlight features a man who learned the cost of honesty the hard way. The what? No way guy, Sean Umscheid, straight out of Vulcan, Alberta, built a massive following online. Millions of followers, tens, if not hundreds of millions of views. He posted a hunting photo online, and the reaction was instant. And some of it was brutal. Let's get into his story. This is going to be a great chat because a lot of people know you for having something like, is it 9 million followers across all social media platforms? But we're going to dig into a little bit later is a lot of these people aren't going to know that you're a pretty avid hunter.
Yeah, so we've been hunting for, well, since as long as I can remember, and it's not something I've always I have always put it out there. It's just with the recent internet fame, if you want to call it, it's interesting.
I can only imagine. So, like I said, a lot of people are going to know you from the what? No way. So, I want to know is tell us a little bit about you. Who are you essentially?
So I'm just your average guy. I had a welding shop. And yeah, during COVID, we kind of we were bored during COVID. I had started up my welding shop, and we were bored. We had seen everything there was to see on Netflix and all that, so we downloaded TikTok, and I was using TikTok and the other platforms for my welding business, and I started doing some silly videos on there, and eventually I've always said what in a way, and I did a reaction video to, I think it was a wrench on a screwdriver, and I threw in the what no way, and it just blew up overnight, like, and it just it's crazy how quickly things can take off. Like, I mean, I'm just trying to keep to myself, and now everyone knows me, and it's been interesting for sure. With our social media, one thing that really worked for us is we stayed away from talking about COVID. We stayed away from politics. We stayed away from religion. Anything controversial between, like, that divides people, we stayed away from it. And I never really thought hunting was one of those things, right? It was last year that we posted our first hunt, I guess you could say, and it was a picture of me with my whitetail, and I have my two boys in the picture. And the hate that came from that was, like, I couldn't believe people could be so hateful. I've never seen that hate myself before, and it really opened my eyes that, okay, this is one of those controversial things, but it's something that is me. It's who I am. I hunt. I provide for my family that way, and it's not something I'm gonna back down on.
Right.
Like, we were getting death threats, like, just the hateful comments, like, can't believe you'd subject your kids to that. You're raising murderers and this and this and this, and it I don't know, it was just really eye-opening that of how people can be.
The pushback that we get as hunters is crazy. How did you realize? How did you put two and two together that there was a positive health benefit to what you were consuming?
It was more so just like I kept it just happened one day. Like, I had a steak and it didn't sit good, and then the next night I had a burger, it didn't sit good. And then it just kind of clicked. Like we cooked up some deer, and I was like, wow, this, like, I was expecting to run to the bathroom like the other nights, and I felt great. And so we just started cooking more of the deer that we had, and then we kind of realized I felt a lot better when we were eating the wild meat as opposed to the stuff we were buying.
That interview shows what happens when hunting collides with modern culture, sadly. Sean didn't back down. He stood by who he is, and in a world of cancel culture, that takes some courage. After the break, a story out of Manitoba that shook the conservation community to its core. Back in episode 13, lodge owner Nick Chiliano joined us with one of the heaviest stories I've ever had on this show. It was one of vandalism, one of theft, and worst of all, the discovery of dozens upon dozens of slaughtered caribou. What he saw, it will stick with him forever. Let's get into it.
We made the visit on April 11th. We came here first. This is actually a little further south. So we came here first and landed right in front of the building. And once we landed, I saw a lot of snowmobile tracks on the ground. And I looked at the building and I went, oh no, the building's been broken into. Get out of the helicopter. I walk up. I see the plywood's been ripped off the door. The door's been kicked in. There's stuff all over the snow, chairs, garbage. So like, okay, what am I up against? Walk in the building, and then I see everything's turned upside down. Like everything. Like stuff that's on the pots, pans, countertop, supplies, just all over the place. And I noticed, like, wait a second. The big lake trout mount's been stolen. It's gone. I started walking through the building, and I'm like, okay, what? Mattresses gone, nightstands gone. Well, where'd they go? Well, they've been burned for firewood inside the building. Every smoke detector ripped down. I mean, just stuff. So I'm trying to process all this. And we have limited time. I mean, this is dead of winter. It's a cold day. It's a 2-hour, 45-minute helicopter ride from Thompson. So we only have a couple hours on the ground just to see what we have. So go through the building quickly, and it's just, okay, it's a mess. It's a disaster, but it's not the end of the world. It can be fixed. It can be cleaned up. And when I get back up here in May, we'll get it fixed up. So bad, but not awful. Walk out, go over to the workshop. Workshop has been also turned upside down. Stuff everywhere, things missing, things out in the snow. Okay, more of the same. And then we decide, okay, we've burned our time here. We need to head back to Thompson. And we said, well, let's go check out Tree Line, at least do a flyover, see what we have. Get in the helicopter, we head north, we round the corner, and then I say, what is that? And I see like objects on the ice. I first thought it was bears because they were dark in color.
Right.
We're getting closer, and I said, wait a second, those are snowmobiles. And then we got a little closer, and I saw the snowmobiles chasing the caribou across the ice, chasing them with dead ones laying on the ice. Like, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what in the heck is happening here? And then we circle, and we come over the lodge, and then I'm fumbling for my cell phone. I get my cell phone out, and I start taking the video, which that's the one that's in circulation right now, of me going around Tree Line Lodge, and you see all of the carnage in the snow. Blood, piles of animals, piled up. And we have, obviously, people on the ground in snowmobiles, and I tell the pilot, just go. Don't stay here. Mm-hmm. Back to Thompson. So we go back to, we're on the way back to Thompson. Nobody spoke a word for 40 minutes because we were in such shock of what we saw. And I said to myself, I can't let this just go. I have to do something about this. I felt a moral obligation, Steve, to report this to RCMP and to conservation about what I just saw. And it wasn't about the theft and the vandalism, Steve. It's about the animals. When I saw those animals like that, I was stunned. So we get back, I report this stuff to RCMP, to conservation, and I'm looking for expertise on what this all is. So that's when I contacted NWF and said, guys, look at this footage. What do you see here? And that's when they were kind enough to say, hey, Nick, this is not right. This is not normal. And offer to assist me in just assessing the situation.
That was a hard episode to watch, to listen to. And as I was interviewing Nick and Rob, that was one that hit us all, as you could probably figure out from the emotion that was drawn out. That was just pure devastation. Stories like this remind us what's all at stake if ethics disappear. Coming up, Kate's back with the internet's favorite moments from the wild world.
Yo, everybody. Kate here. Welcome back to Kate's Wild Finds on an all new season of Wild Talk. Usually for this segment, we're going online, we're finding some deadly videos, but this time we actually turn to Wild TV's YouTube channel to bring you the top 5 most popular shorts. So pitter patter, let's get at her. Coming in at number 5, no more moosing around, no easing into it. Check it out.
Close enough, bud. That's close enough. It's close enough, buddy. It's close enough. Get out of here. Go. Go. Nope.
I would pay at least $5 to see how that story ended, but friendly reminder, moose are not cartoons. Keep your distance, everybody. All right, coming in at number 4, we got whitetails. What are they doing on a trampoline? I don't know. Let's go find out. I don't know how those whitetail came across that trampoline, but good on them. Find joys wherever you can in life. All righty, coming in at number 3 with a solid 2.2 million views. We got more whitetails, but I don't know. This one's not as joyful, but still crazy. Check it out. All right, let's hope that one ends well for those beautiful whitetail. Moving in, number 2 on the charts. We got an elk working out. Let's see what this guy's benching. All right, I think that's all the inspiration I needed to lift heavy going into 2026. Let's go. Coming in at number 1, what's it gonna be?
He's a big bull. Really good bull. Okay. Crap. It's gonna have to stop though. Damn it. It's gonna have to stop. Crap. Try to get those sticks, man. Here, I got him. Okay, here we go.
Super deadly elk encounter. I can see how that was number 1 on the charts. Thank you so much to Savage Outdoors for sharing some solid content. Hope you guys enjoyed our top 5 on Wild TV's YouTube. So this is a pretty special episode to kick off our 5th season. We're actually going back and picking some of our best of the best moments from season 4. So what's my favorite moment from season 4? It's got to be when I actually had the opportunity to sit in the host seat. I got to interview Steve and Kaylee Hamilton all about their hunting adventures in Africa. And this was more than just a family trip. This was a hunt of a lifetime for them. It's clearly going to be memories to last them a lifetime. And this is what this show is all about. Being able to reach out to people all over the world, hear their stories, watch them grow, watch them learn, and just seeing them smash it on a daily, it brought me great joy. So, yeah, that would be my best of the best moment for season 4. Thanks for joining us right here on Kate's Wild Finds. If you have any crazy stories that you want to share, please be sure to tag Wild TV on Instagram or Facebook. If you want to see more Wild TV's content, head over to that YouTube channel. And as always, stay wild. I'll see you next time.
When we return, a businessman, a billionaire, and one of the most outspoken voices in the hunting today. Welcome back to Wild Talk. This highlight features a man. Most people recognize the name, but not everyone knows the man behind it. For those that don't know who Jimmy John is outside of the sandwiches, talk a little bit about you, your upbringing. Where'd you grow up?
Oh yeah. So my upbringing was northwest suburbs of Illinois, right where the suburbs met the farms is where I grew up. A town of 4,900 people, and yeah, northwest Illinois. Dad was a salesman turned plastic molder entrepreneur. Mom was a school teacher turned full time mama, and never hunted in my life until I was about 23 years old. I grew up in the summertime. We have a cabin in northern Wisconsin, and that's where the Jack Link beef jerky family is from, Minong, Wisconsin. And so we're 3-generation friends with the Links, who were big time hunters. My first wife dumped me, and my head was I was completely up in the head. And Jay Link, the oldest boy, took me hunting. I was 23, told me to get a backpack and a 7 mag, rain gear and a sleeping bag, and meet him in Anchorage. He's taking me on a Dall sheep hunt. So for $5,000 in 1988, I was 23 years old, and I went on a Dall sheep hunt. Never hunted in my life. That was my first hunt. That's how I got into it.
Yeah, I did some reading on that, and I went, what the hell? His first hunt was a sheep hunt. That's usually a bucket list for somebody that's put in the work, put in the training, dedicated years upon years upon years of studying the ranges, et cetera. And here you are going all in for your first hunt. Talk a bit about that experience. What was that like?
First of all, I got to Anchorage, expect to see my buddy Jay. I get a little note on my door. Bad weather coming in, left early. Somebody will pick you up in the morning to fly you to base camp. So now I'm like, oh shit. I go to bed. I wake up. Somebody calls me at 6. Take a cab to this location. There's a float plane there. I'm like, okay. I'm all excited. I'm gonna get on horses, and it's gonna be great. Fly to this, get in a float plane, land at this lake. It was called Post Lake up in the Alaska Range with Dennis Harms. I get up there, excited to see my buddy Jay. Oh, Jay's gone out hunting. He just left on the last pack of horses. There's no horses left. You're going on a backpack hunt. I'm like, right on. So we're going to fly you out in a Super Cub. Here, we're going to take half your gear away. You can only keep this much of your. We're going to fly you to this river bottom. There's going to be a 55-gallon drum there. We'll drop you off, take the lid off the drum, start unloading the there, and then we'll fly your guide in. I'm like, all right. So I go there, and there's a big grizzly bear foot in the riverbed. So I start unloading it, and I was scared to death. I loaded my 7 mag, looking for the bear, unloading this anyway, Walt Rowe was my guide, and he landed on the strip, and he said, we got to wait till tomorrow morning to go. And so anyway, we got up at 5 a.m, and I never walked on those heads that are in the swamps. We have a word for them, but they're those grass heads, that are swampy. Those you had to walk on that through all the shin tangles, through all the oaks, through the trees, up the shale, and we killed the sheep at 2 o'clock in the morning. We left at 6 a.m. Wow. It was 24 hours of light. We killed the sheep at 2 a.m. A storm came. We slept under a tarp without sleeping bags, and packed up that sheep and got back to the river bottom the next morning, and my head was out of my I was freed from the drama of my divorce, and it changed my life, man. It changed my life. 81 sheep hunts later, I've been on 81 mountain hunts, goat and sheep, ibex sheep, whatever. But I've done 81 now. So that unleashed the monster.
No kidding. 81
Yeah.
sheep hunts. I
Yeah.
can't even wrap my head around that. Where a lot of people may first recognize your name from the hunting world was, I think it was 2011. One of your African trips took heat. It went viral. What was your first thoughts on going, wait a minute?
Really what happened. The Republicans were off their game. The Democrats found an easy way in, and they started attacking me. And at the same time they started attacking me, this new thing came. The internet was introduced, and social media was introduced. And all of a sudden it was just simply used to exploit the lowest hanging fruit. And that's what happens. I was an entrepreneur. I'm overweight. I'm a billionaire, and I kill lions and elephants. And boy, I must be such a what a great person to attack. A fat, overweight entrepreneur. Geez, he's a hunter. Let's just kill him on everything that he's done wrong. I mean, and so that was a very normal thing. It wasn't. It was the way the world worked. I was the first one to be canceled. How was it at the time? Brutal, so mean, so awful. And in the town that I lived in, so it was just like it was such a big deal. And but at this time I took it personally, and it's not personal. The whole internet is as fake as plastic lips, and I'm a sensitive guy. So to answer the question, it was brutal.
Yeah, I think you nailed it just perfectly there. You were the low-hanging fruit. You were an easy target, and that seems to be quite the norm for a lot of these organizations and these people.
With all the people and all that I've gotten, the good news is I survived it.
After that interview, I walked away with a lot of respect for Jimmy, more than I had already. Not because he's famous, not because he's successful, but because you can see that the discipline and grit that it took to build his empire is the same mindset he brings into hunting and conservation. The fact that he's not just a businessman, he's an active advocate in our industry and someone who puts real dollars and real effort behind what he believes in, that really matters to me. Someone that puts their literal money where their mouth is. That conversation reminded me that leadership just doesn't happen in the boardrooms, it shows up in the field too. When we come back, a woman saving lives, one calf at a time. If you've ever wondered what conservation looks like in action, this is it. It isn't policy meetings, it isn't social media posts, it's hands-on everyday work in the middle of the wild. While most people see a road-killed moose, Dana Applebury sees an orphaned calf that still deserves a chance at life. Through Moose Mamas, Dana and her team rescue, raise, and release calves that would otherwise die alone in the bush. Tonight's highlight isn't just about moose, it's about compassion, responsibility, and the people who quietly make a difference when no one's watching.
So I was raised in Colorado, Western Slope. My uncle was a hunting guide. We're avid fishermen and hunters and just outdoors people. I didn't know any different. And that's the way I raised. I think my best memories are, hunting with my dad, in the fall, and just the smells and colors. And it's just a way of life for our family for generations. There's a photo of my grandmother in one of Colorado's first outdoor magazines, the first copies back in the 40s. And with her rifle and her big buck, man, there's some big bucks back then. Mm-hmm. And it was just it was important for our family. When we ate a meal, we lived off of the land, and we ate venison and fish. And I don't know, I always said, like, each bite tasted better when you earn it. And not only did we enjoy hunting and fishing and eating that, but I grew up talking about it around the dinner table, about the elk population, the antelope, the deer, and it was, it was just important to our family. And I'm just really grateful that they instilled that in me. What we did, we hunt fish, but then we give back, in conservation. My uncle was really involved. My grandfather, my dad, in conservation efforts and organizations. So that's just the way it was, right? That's all I knew. 10 years ago, I noticed there was an issue here. The moose get hit on the road. They take the route of the least resistance, and moose are big. They do a lot of damage, and I think it's really cool how Alaskans, nothing left to waste. You know, you hit a moose, and they have a salvage program where families get on the list and they get that moose. Super important. But then I was like, well, what are you doing when they have babies? Well, I really, not much they were doing. So I'm one of those like, I'll do it. Yeah, just every moose is important. It's a natural resource, and I just got a team to do it with me. Started a nonprofit called Moose Mamas, and we started rescuing these calves when their moms were hit on the road. So doing it a decade now. Learned as I went. I'm a mother of 3, very maternal. I think that's the part of me that I'll just say I think God just gave me some gifts to just get stuff done, but in a motherly way.
Anna just doesn't wear conservation, she lives it. What struck me about that conversation was the patience that it takes, the emotional weight of raising something just to let it go again. That's real stewardship. The fact that people from all over the world are now calling her for advice, that tells you everything you need to know about what this woman is doing. She didn't set out to be famous. She set out to do what was right. And that kind of work deserves a spotlight. When we come back, a true survival story, one that almost didn't end the same way. Our next highlight is one of the most intense stories I've ever had on this show. One moment, Mitch Jones was hunting bears like he had countless times before, and the next, he was fighting for his life. What you're about to hear isn't just about an attack. It's about how quickly everything can change in the wild.
My friend lined up again, had all the time in the world, was lined up good, waited for a broadside. I was watching through the binoculars, hit the bear, looked like a good hit. I thought it was a good hit. He thought it was a good hit. The bear bucked, do what they do, did a cartwheel. He managed to get another round in, shot again, looked like another good hit. Now the bear's doing somersaults, and he went up another little hill, a little dip, and disappeared. We get into the woods. We push in maybe 50, 75 yards, real thick, tight jack pine, lots of low shrubs, so visibility was really low. Push in a little more, and I see my Leica barking, and I'm trying to look to see if I can see the bear down, and then I see the bear sitting on its hind end, fully alive, and not too happy. I yelled to my buddy, "He's still alive. If you can get a clear shot, take him." I wanted to let him shoot the bear. At this point, we're at a far enough distance where we felt safe, but I said, if you get a clear shot, shoot the bear. Just don't hit the dogs. Don't shoot the dogs, whatever you do. The dogs keep harassing the bear. It moves in a little further. I turned around and said to him, maybe we should back out, call the dogs back, and let this bear expire before it come back later and see if we can find him. And then we kind of talked it up over. And then I said, I'm just going to push a little bit more and see. I said, if I see the bear, if I get a shot, I'm going to take the bear. He said, okay, yeah, no problem. So we push in a little more. Dogs are still going, and the bear's sitting down again. So at this point, I lined up. I took a shot, hit the bear. I'm not 100% sure where I hit him. He came towards us. At this point, he's, I don't know, under 25 yards. He's seen me, made a beeline for me, charged at me. I worked the lever on the gun, shot him at maybe 10 feet, wasn't enough to stop him at that point. He balled me, like ran me over, knocked me right down on my back. I had my pack on, flailed the rifle, and landed on my back. So you can imagine the chaos that's going on.
No
Dogs are
doubt.
running around, shots going off. My friend couldn't shoot because the dogs and I'm in the way now. I'm on my back, and my first instinct was to throw I was kind of on my left side, so my first instinct was to throw my right hand up to protect the face. The bear, at that point, he stood on my left rib cage with one paw.
Oof.
And I remember feeling the claws poking into my skin. They didn't they left marks, they left scratches, but like little scabs, but it wasn't they didn't puncture. And at that point, the bear latched onto my right wrist. I remember feeling the bones break and hearing the crack and the pop. But the odd thing was at this point, I felt no pain whatsoever. The adrenaline was so high and everything's so vivid but I remember the bones cracking and I remember him shaking. My Carillion was barking. The Leica jumped on the bear's back and started biting the bear.
Wow.
And thank God that was enough to make him let go of me and went after the Leica. I picked up my rifle and the bear turned around, seen that I was up, turned around, made another go at me. My friend got a shot in, or I got one more shot in, and then he got a shot. The bear was just about to hit me again, and I thought to myself, "Oh God, here we go again." He hit him a third time, and then that was enough to turn him around, literally at like 5 feet, and he started running directly away from me. And at that point, I threw the rifle up, give it the good old Texas heart shot, and that was enough to put the bear down. So
wow, just what can you say to that, right? Like anybody watching this is going to be doing the same thing. Like that's how fast it can happen. And bears are tough. And this shows it, but you're tough as hell too. I want to be really clear here. Mitch and his buddy didn't do anything reckless. They did what they were supposed to do. They took the time. They believed the shot was good. And that's exactly why this story matters. Even when you do everything right, even when you think you make what is a clean, ethical shot, things can and do sometimes go sideways in the wild. This is a reminder, not a warning, that bear hunting demands constant awareness. You never let your guard down. You never assume it's over. Mitch's story isn't here to scare anyone. It's here to teach us. Sometimes we need to slow down. Sometimes we need to double check. And sometimes, even when you do everything right as Mitch and his buddy did, things can turn on you. When we return, we slow things down. One final conversation to end the night with some perspective. To close out tonight, we take a step back from adrenaline. This final highlight isn't about danger, it's about responsibility. Fiery Lana Salant from the Ethical Omnivore Movement joined me to talk about food ethics and what it really means to her to respect what ends up on your plate. This conversation is about awareness, it's about intention, and about understanding the full story about the food we eat. This has been a conversation you and I have tried to get going for the last month or so.
Yes.
Things come up, people get busy. So I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time today. So let's dig right into it. So who are you and where are you coming to us from?
Well, I'm Lana Salant. I'm currently living in the Crow's Nest Pass, Alberta, Canada. Back in my hometown after about a 40-year absence from it, got a different job. That's part of why I was having some struggles connecting with you. I had a lot on my plate there for a few weeks. So anyway, here we are. So again, Lana Salant, born and bred in Alberta, Canada. And I started Ethical Omnivore Movement while I was living in Vancouver, BC in 2012. At that point, I'd been an ethical omnivore for a long while already, not calling it that necessarily, but just somebody who started in the fitness industry, yoga, went vegan because of it, health failed because of it. And then in 2012, a vegan movement was really ramping up. And I thought there needed to be a voice for ethical meat eating because it's definitely possible. And it's far more possible than veganism if you want to and care about sustainable agriculture, eating locally and eating seasonally, which is all part of what I kind of preach about as an ethical omnivore. So I started this little Facebook page just to discuss it, and it took off pretty quick. And we have about 40, it's not big because it's still niche, right? It shouldn't be, but it is. So I have about 40,000 followers across a few different platforms. And the first thing that happened, which I kind of thought would happen, but not the way it did, is we got attacked really ferociously by the vegan movement. And also jumped on in there for the attacks was the conventional agriculture guys as well. So at the very beginning, it was all just, I was by myself. And I was, fighting all these fronts. And slowly but surely, the regenerative ag guys I reached out to everybody I could, and they started helping out. And now we're doing quite well with the message.
What was the catalyst that said that kind of sparked the ethical omnivore movement?
Well, it really was my experience as a vegan. Now, this is back before the internet even. So I was vegan in kind of the early 90s. And just because of I've taught yoga for about 35 years. And it was something we all did, right? We're all kind of, I was a light meat eater at the time just because of it. And then a group of us decided to go full on vegan because it was, again, it was starting and people were talking about it. And I went on an advanced yoga retreat, and my yoga mentor at the time was vegan. It wasn't called vegan though. It was just absolutely no animal products. And I got a bit of pressure into it. And I tried it, and I'll tell you, I've tried it twice over the years, and I can't last 10 months before things start going really wrong with my body, especially as probably more fit than I am now. But as somebody who is kind of almost an elite athlete, I lost strength, I lost hair, I lost complexion, I lost my sanity a little bit too. And so that's kind of that was the big catalyst for me, was the health, because I've always spoken on health. I've always my whole life tried to keep up with the research, right? I would probably have been called a greenie if today's standards, right? So that was it. It was about health. And then when I started reaching out to all these sustainable meat farms, if you want to call it that, then the regenerative agriculture started ramping up. And so I got almost more into regenerative agriculture than I did even health.
Season 4 reminded us just how wide this world really is. From wilderness families to billionaires, from viral internet moments to life or death reality, from laughter to heartbreak to hope. Last season, we were honored to sit down with people who shaped the conversation. I had Adam and Tana Grenda. I had Paula Morrison, Brianna Layfield, and Paul Kane, Kyle Stelter, Marvin from the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance, Rob Olson from the Manitoba Wildlife Federation, Brendan Morrison, NHL superstar, Melody Philiston and Taylor Reich out of Alberta representing Canada on the IPSC stage, and so many more. And that's what Wild Talk will always stand for. The untamed voice of Canada's outdoors, where raw stories, real people, and wild places collide. Thanks for being here. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Stay wild. Wild Talk, powered by Better Call Paul, is brought to you by Better Hunting, Better Stories, Better Call Paul. Umarex, Hunt with Air. Bronc Beer, great buckin' beer.